This is the RASA VOJO VOCA tracking sheet. This sheet is used for programs that do not have any other means of tracking their grant data. This should help assist on the recording and reporting of the quarterly reports required for RASA, VOJO, and VOCA. Starting here on the settings tab of this tracking sheet, there is the columns for the reporting period begin date, the end date, reporting year start date, and the system. These dates can be changed at any time in order to do the counting. These directly connect to the reporting and the error checks. The reporting year start date is on a calendar year for RASA and VOJO, starting on January 1st, and starting on October 1st for VOCA. Reminders of all these can be found in this green box right here and how these references are used. The system sets the reporting and the error checks for the system being used. The adult system for RASA, juvenile for VOJO, and VOCA for the VOCA tracking. This spreadsheet does not need to be used for any one specifically. You can track all three on the same spreadsheet. The agency, put your agency name. This will put your agency's name on the reports. Staff name. Staff name is used and is optional if you wish to add a staff to the drop-down list on the staff column of the services tab, which will be shown in a little bit. I will add some names here. That in the future. On the participants tab, this is how you will track participants being used. The participant tab only needs to have a person entered once ever per spreadsheet. The participant ID, the participant ID column, is what connects the individual with the services received. On the services tab, you record services and the date the service provided. That date and service provided connected through the participant ID will determine if someone is new, continuing, so forth for the reporting year and quarter to quarter. You have the individual's name in order to connect them to the participant ID. And then you have the demographics information, which have drop downs. Moving over to the right here, we have the special classifications, which are just yes and blank responses. This grayed out box area here is the automatic calculations used by the spreadsheet in order to count if someone is new, continuing, and if they received a service during the report, in addition to if they are also multiple victimizations. When entering a person for the first time, you'll give them a participant ID. This ID needs to be a unique number for a person. You should not use the case number unless you wish to, but it has to be unique to one person in order for them to be counted correctly. So if you're going to use a participant ID, you can use just simply 1, 2, 3, 4 for this. That participant ID is only used for the spreadsheet in order to connect the services and the participant and to get the counting logic correct on the reporting tabs. So we enter our first person on this first row that's blue and highlighted because in Excel this is formatted as a table for all the formulas and everything to work. Enter in the person's an ID number, their name. You could put in their age, gender, ethnicity, and then if they have any of these special classifications. Right now it says all zeros across here, but as we enter in service data, these will start counting and calculating. If we have a second participant we wish to enter, you just enter in right below them. And all the formulas will populate automatically, in addition to the dropdowns. If you notice below here, anywhere below this table that's starting to populate, there are no drop downs. Drop downs. We enter in the next participant number here, the drop down part start formulating. If we need to remove lines because we added them, or if there was an error, you will highlight the line by selecting the number on the side, right-clicking, and clicking delete to remove that row. This will also help reformat this back into a table and load the formulas as needed. All these. So once you have your participant entered, you can then enter in their services. On the services tab, you can enter one service per line for each individual. If someone comes in and you provided multiple services to them, you will have to enter in multiple lines, one per service. The crucial thing to do here is on the participant ID is to get the ID of that individual. You could type it in, but Excel can be unforgiving if you don't have it exactly the same. That includes punctuation, capitalization, and spacing. So another way you can do it is you can copy this service tab, touch on the cell, and you could hit I like to use values to make sure nothing else goes wrong. You could paste it there. The column moving across the case file number, this is not a required column, but this column is there if you wish to attach the service to a case or file number to help you with tracking. The reason why it has its own column number and you don't use it as a participant ID is because you could have one individual who has multiple cases. This helps you keep track of which service was provided on which case if you need to. Moving over to the right here on system, the system will help determine which report this is going to go to, and second, which services are able to be provided. This will help determine the service dropdown. A common error we find is someone goes to the dropdown here without entering the system and they say it doesn't work. You need to enter the system first so the Excel sheet knows which list of services to load into that service column. So if we hit the adult system for RASA, we could do the date the service was provided. You will notice the services load in this box right here. You also notice this got red highlighted. That is an error check. Over here in these last two columns is the errors checks. Need a victimization this quarter pops up because the victimization has not been selected for this person yet. Once the victimization is selected, this red highlighting will go away. In addition, there is the ID error. The ID error will pop up if you enter an ID that does not exist. So if I put 3 here, it will say participant ID not found on the participant tab. So you either entered in the service before the participant was entered, or you entered in the wrong participant ID. You would need to check that and make sure it is the correct one. Going back over to victimizations, we can select the adult physical assault victimization, and if there's a staff, we can select one of our staff. Not required, but if you wish, and you enter your staff, you can enter them there if you wish to track that. So right here, there's these 5 yellow boxes. These yellow boxes are intentionally left blank for you to use as you wish for any other tracking purposes you wish to have. And they have their titles up here you can change the names for. Column N here with this formula is the service count RP system or service count for the reporting period. This will help you determine, 1, see if the formulas are working. 2, it is an indirect error check for how many services this individual received during the reporting period. Uh, if you're entering in the same person, an example is if you enter in the same person and you know it's the second or third service during the reporting period, but it's popping up 0, you know you may have entered the ID wrong or the name wrong, or the formulas aren't populating if it's completely blank. So that is just an indirect check to make sure you are getting it right, but only if you know your clientele. If John here received a second service that day, we could enter in the next tab, and we can just copy it, copy him, paste it here. Noticing that this goes blue, white, you know you are in the table of the Excel sheet. This is all formatted as tables. For the formulas to work properly, it needs to be in the table. If you skip lines, it will not work properly. You need to enter in one at a time. If you entered in something incorrectly here, you can change this, but if you really messed up this line or you deleted something like this formula, what you need to do is go to the left of this line, select the number of the row, right click on it, and select delete. When you go to re-enter it, you will notice the formula repopulates again. Completely corrects any issues or errors moving forward. If you notice that there's error or something's not working right, immediately delete the row that's causing the error and re-enter it. Entering all your data in when the errors aren't working correctly, when the spreadsheet is not working correctly, will just compound the errors. Enter the services again. And the date of the service, or when the service is done. And you just enter your services like that. And go forward. There does not need to be any particular order you put these services in. It could be dates, could be infrequently, could be one person, next person. You do not need to focus on the order you enter the service, because this will the reports will count them correctly. And you can order this any way you want. And I'll show that with some demo data moving forward. Moving back to the participants tab. On this participants tabs, as you're entering data, you will notice here, John Smith, you notice he started getting formulas or starting an account based off the services entered on the other tab. If you're entering someone in for a new ID or a new person, and you notice the column highlights red, that means you are entering in a duplicate ID number. Remember, one ID per person. Common errors are duplicate ID is the common error, but now it highlights. Or you're giving a new ID to the same person. So it's important you check to see if that person exists in your system. Or to this demo tab I have. You notice we have multiple individuals here. And this is all demo data. But if you needed to sort and look through this data, what you would do is you could use at the top of these columns, at the headers here, these little gray boxes. These can be used to search and filter your data to find what you're looking for. So if you're trying to look to see if a individual has been in before and they're in the spreadsheet already, you can go to your search filter and you can start typing in their name. I have initials here, but works the same if you needed to. And we'll start filtering down your data to see who is here and where they are at. that goes across all of these, and including on the automatic calculations if you saw there was multiple victimizations and you're wondering who got a multiple victimization because it may be incorrect data, maybe there was a data entry issue or something, you can be able to search to see who has a 1 in their multiple victimizations right here. Moving over to services, you'll be able to search individuals here. If I wanted to find, individual BL, and I hit OK, it will sort it down to that individual. In addition, the biggest thing to do here, after you sorted and filtered down data, is to make sure you clear your filters. So you can go to the filter column and hit clear, or you go to your sort and filter column over here in the top right and hit clear. Common errors occur when there are filters on and people go back to entering data in again. They either overwrite data or they start skipping spaces where there is data supposed to be. So clear your filters before you continue on. You can also sort your data based on color if there were errors. Example of that is if, say, we entered in and we noticed that there was a duplicate. Well, I want to see all my duplicates. You go filter by color. Here's my 2 errors. One of these is not correct. And you can fix it from there. And you're able to use the sort and search filter in all of these. And you can filter and search on the date tab. And this won't affect the reporting at all when you're running your reports. When running a report, the item you would need to do is when you try to run these reports and get your numbers is you go on your settings tab. You set your reporting begin date, your end date, the reporting your start date. So this one right here is set to 10/1. If we were going to do RASA or VOJO, we would set that to January 1st. There's reminders over here, which is the reporting start date based on if you're using RASA VOJO or VOCA. We have it set to the adult system. We go over to our RASA quarterly report, and it will give the reporting period, reporting year start date, and the date of the report. And these are all formulas here to populate it. And you'll get your numbers you need for your quarterly reporting any grants. If, say, you needed this individual is, say, a VOCA service. This will not be counted on the RASA report. It will go to the VOCA report. So we go to our settings tab. Let's set this to our VOCA reporting year date, start date. We'll select VOCA. And then the bottom here, we have our VOCA quarterly report. And there's our 1 person. They already marked them as new. And they will track all the demographics information, their victimizations, total victimizations, and their service in the individuals in that section automatically. Go back to our services tab and go to RASA, into our adult system. say we need to do an audit to see all our restitution services during the first quarter. Go to our RASA services report. And right at services here, we could select this little drop down. And we wanted restitution. We could select that. On service, it would give the participant ID number, the date the service was provided, and the service being provided. If we go for we need victimization, as you can see, say adult physical assault, it will give the participant ID, the first date of service that individual received service for that victimization, and the service they were provided. Got here, say burglary. There's our one person counted in the burglary column. And that can be done with the service, the victimizations, or VOCA quarterly report. VOCA has the victimization, the service, and the service individuals. You can only enter one service per line. As you can see here, we have sometimes multiple people and they receive multiple services. If you needed to edit information, you do not click delete. In order to save the formulas, what you would do is you would delete the service because you made an error. You would right click and you click delete and then continue to enter your information in. A common thing you can do is when you get a new spreadsheet is you can copy information in from one spreadsheet to another. In these columns, when you're going to copy information, you can highlight all the blue and white data here. Not the gray data, but anything that's blue and white here, you can select. You can copy this and paste it into a new RASA VOJO VOCA tracking sheet to load that data in for participants. And then when you go to services, you can do the same thing there. You could include your yellow boxes as well, but these are safe. Right here is safe to copy and paste, whereas blue and white, not the headers, but starting with the first row of data, you can copy this information, blue, white, and yellow, and that can be copied and pasted right in a new spreadsheet. In addition, if you don't have a brand new spreadsheet, you could ask one, or you could save a copy of the one you have, but you could delete all the information. To delete, to just clear the spreadsheet and just start over, you can highlight all the rows, right click, and hit delete. And it will start fresh. And you would just save as. And all the formulas will populate again, starting with the new row. Hopefully this spreadsheet will help you with your RASA, VOJO, and tracking